There we go. Hey guys, this is Anthony again. I don't know if you noticed from my last time, but I got a haircut. Well, anyways, down to business. I read Ivan Franko Mance a few hours ago. First time I went through it, I was a little bit confused on what exactly they were trying to do. I did understand that there were basically two artists that wanted to reshape the way people saw art and the way they saw art, and they did some pretty interesting stuff to kind of do that too. And I think answering these questions kind of give me help me get to understand the concept of what they might be trying to do. So I think the best way that I could kind of contemplate what they're doing is basically answering those questions. So who was Luther Blissett? Well, Luther was one of the first artists, for say, that Ivan Franko created, but they created to use as a collective identity for use for multiple names. So basically, any kind of artist that wanted to say something, or anybody could use his name. That way, they wouldn't have to like worry about what's going on, like like any kind of issues or something like that. And originally, what they try to use him as a purpose for is to basically reveal the media's superficiality, hypocrisy, and ability to create and manipulate reality. So basically, Luther was created to expose the media, right? It's pretty similar to also darker Maver. I'm not sure which way to say, but you know, it's they it Darko was Ivan Franko's second identity after Luther. After that, they created Darko, and the idea with that is they try to transform reality into fiction, as it said on page 15. So what they did, they would depict murders and gruesome death and stuff like that through him, and kind of like the idea like how they manipulate the reality of the world and what they do. And with that in mind, what questions do the lives of Lisette and Maver provoke us to consider? Well, they provoke us to consider what is reality. Is it possible to alter it? What is possible in reality? What's real? What's not? Those kind of things. Like, is this really does this really exist, or does that really exist? Why is it, if so, why is it existing? So basically, I guess the heart of the question is that what is reality? That's the basically the deep down principle. What did Eva and Franco steal? Well, they stole pieces of art from different museums, and they kept pieces of those in Franco's black box, I believe, in his apartment, I believe. I'm not too sure. I don't quite remember. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And do their art does their art theft say something about art? I believe so, because what they're trying to get through across is that art isn't necessarily something that we put on display like in a museum or put in a display case. I guess the way I see it, the way that what they're trying to do with their theft is they're trying to say like it's not how we create art, it's what we do with it. And I'm not sure their logic behind it, but I'm pretty sure they thought their theft was a creation of their very own way of expressing art in a way. And that also portrays how art is always going to be changing. Like, some might think this is as a work of art, maybe some maybe not, but it eventually will, because it's always changing. There's no definite way to define art. And yeah, even Franco made fake newspapers and fake movie posters. Why? Well, it's basically to get a reaction from the rest of the world, and kind of show how the world is easily manipulated by the media, and how the media does prove to be a powerful entity to which where the world gets its information. Like how they did the war in Iraq is over newspaper years ago, and also their poster on United We Stand. People strongly believe that the war was over, and this movie why are why is this movie being advertised if it's not even gonna come out? Stuff like that. Because we are inclined to believe it because newspapers and stuff like that. We always believe that it's true, you know. So they basically try to prove the point that that Darko and Luther were, I guess, in a sense, you could think about it, trying to provoke. And what is net art? Net art is basically just a online showcase for art where they could post it. Originally, its plans were like to manipulate the media and the communication identities and exposing them for what they are, kind of sense. Basically, getting virtual art and twisting it and doing all that stuff. Basically, a different form of art, digital art, and as they call it, as I don't remember who, but they call it radical entertainment. Compare what Eva and Franco did in their 2001 piece, Live Sharing, to the way people use the internet in 2011. Well, basically what live sharing was is that Eva and Franco sharing all information about themselves is what they called a portrait of a artist as a hard disk, basically. So it's getting inside their lives and practically breaking the barrier of privacy. People got to look at their work, emails, all that stuff, and they even got tracked. In the meantime, so you could find out where they're at that point. And this is pretty much similar to how like social networking sites today, like Facebook, MySpace, if anybody uses that, Twitter, and sometimes YouTube, things like that, where basically we could choose to give whatever information we want. If we want to give out where we're at, how we feel, we can. Might not be to as much of an extent as Ivan Franco, but the concept is still there. That's how they're similar. And what's up with their portraits of Second Life avatars? Well, Ivan Franco were strongly intrigued by Second Life because it kind of reminded them of their own lives. They lived lives where they were existing, but nobody really knew who they were. So what they did is they created an avatar, some outlet to where they could actually express themselves and what they want people to know. That's basically the concept of Second Life, creating a virtual self the way you want to create it, in a way, to convey information about who you are or what you believe, that kind of stuff. And Ivan Franco really saw the beauty of people just creating them, recreating themselves in another world. And that's kind of like the concept of Luther and Darko. That's what I see. So, and the last question. Besides pissing off Nike, what did the Nike Ground Project say about corporations and culture? Well, basically, big time corporations like Nike are in charge of our culture. We had they've become so much a big part of our lifestyle that, in a sense, they have control of what we can do because they have the power and money. They pretty much have our attention. So if there's any changes, there's a high possibility that we're inclined to accept them. We see it as that they're taking, in other words, having control over something, in a sense. And with that in mind, I don't think Cal State Long Beach should change the name of the library to Starbucks Library, because that's basically saying we're letting just some big time corporation take something that's ours, something that we value, and calling it their own. And that's not the concept, because we still use it's our library, university library. It's not their library. And just because they think they're a big time corporation doesn't mean they could automatically take it. It's still ours. They might be running it, but it's 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 still the university's library. That's the way I see it. So yeah, overall from the book, from the section of the book that I read, pretty interesting, a little confusing. But one thing that I do really want to look back on, maybe a little bit further, was the virus part, because if even Franco had an idea to create a virus and call it art, I really find that intriguing. Something maybe that I want to look into, because like how the question said on the top, how can you call a virus art? It's something that I really want to look into. So yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you guys around.